Again, is a good link into our next person. Hannah Spilva now just got married. Congratulations! Not that long ago. Hannah actually came out of a company, and her business partner Verity, who's in the front at the moment and is an interested observer tonight. They both left high-flying advertising jobs. I know they don't like me using that terminology, but they really did. They were both very senior members of arguably the biggest digital agency in this part of the world, Isobar, and they've both left the safety of that network and that world to start a little company that is the little engine that could. It's amazing. I think it's even blowing you two away with how it's been going. It's a company called Hello Lovely, and something for the Labor Party to be happy with. They were used for the Premier's Golf Day the first time. I believe that's correct. Your products were used there, so they've certainly benefited from it. Thank you very much. You've been able to fix all the problems?
No.
We'd love you.
Where do you want me from?
Just jump over here. Thank you very much. The Honourable Phil Deladakis is joining us, so thank you very much. We'll hear from him shortly, but in the meantime, Hannah Spilva, we'd like to hear about your journey that took you from probably England into Australia in a large corporate advertising, and now to this beautiful little company called Hello Lovely. Hannah Spilva.
So, as Cam said, my name is Hannah. I'm the co-founder of a company called Lovely. And so Verity and I set this company up 12 months ago now, so we're still in our infancy really. But we're an online business that provides gifts on demand service. But I guess what does that mean really? Well, we curate a small range of products from local Melbourne, and our ambition is to extend that to Australian only brands and suppliers. And we provide a same-day delivery service for those gifts across Melbourne. And Verity and I came up for the concept for Lovely when we were both living away from home in Sydney, as Cam mentioned. We were both homesick. I'm from the UK, as you can probably tell. Verity was from Melbourne originally. We were both homesick, and we wanted to let our family and friends know that we were thinking of them, but there was simply no easy or affordable way to send something small to let somebody know that you were thinking of them. At the time, we were working in advertising. We'd actually worked in advertising for 10 years, as Cam alluded to, both in the UK and here. And we were working for this global ad network. We were actually advising David Jones at the time on their digital strategy and helping them relaunch their online presence. So we knew a little bit about retail and a little bit about e-commerce. And on the side, we started working on this idea for a same-day gifting service. And I reckon Verity and I probably spent about 6 months on the concept itself, so actually coming up with the idea and coming up with the business model. And during this time, we both moved to Melbourne with our partners, so it was here that Lovely was born in December 2015. And like all good startups, we started out incredibly small, in Verity's kitchen actually. We didn't spend much money on the website initially because we wanted to prove to ourselves that this kind of harebrained idea and this concept could work, so the investment was minimal. And between us, we thought, confidently, naively at the time, that we had most of the skills we needed to get the business off the ground. We had a great idea, or so we thought, or our friends kept telling us we did. We certainly had the confidence, we had the digital skill sets, and in so many ways at the time, it seemed absolutely crazy not to give it a shot. It was just too easy to start a business online. So the opportunity was there. The big retail brands we were working with were all focused on global brands at the time, not Australian brands. They were bringing talent and labels in from overseas. They weren't focusing on the more immediate customer needs closer to home, which was people want same-day delivery of goods. They don't want 5 days, they don't want 7 days, they want it now. And in fact, most people want it in 3 hours. And actually, people want Australian brands, despite what a lot of the big retailers in this country think. You've got some pretty amazing talent on your doorstep, and it's ironic that somebody from the UK perhaps sometimes stood up here telling you that. But I think over the last year we faced a lot of challenges. We've certainly learned a lot of lessons, and we've learned them the hard way. So I thought what we'd do today is share with you guys the biggest 3 challenges we faced as a startup, because actually, whether you're in retail or not, I believe that most startups face very similar challenges. The first of those challenges is access to education about the fundamentals of running a business. Now, starting a business is actually frighteningly easy, especially if it's a digital one. It cost us $10 a month to set up a website and sell things online. That was $10 subscription to use an off-the-shelf platform called Squarespace. Now, of course, that doesn't include the cost of labour. It doesn't include the cost of smarts and time to create the idea, to make it happen. But at $10 a month to create a website, anybody can become a business owner. However, what we discovered very quickly is that there's a massive difference between setting up a business and running a business efficiently and profitably. Making sure you have the information and skills to operate effectively is a whole different ballgame. We knew how to build a brand, we knew how to curate great products, we knew how to create an audience, we knew how to create a website, we know how to manage our own photography, run our own social channels, drive our own PR, look after all our own marketing. But critically, what we didn't know was how to set up operations. We didn't know how to manage our accounts. We had no idea how to set up payroll. We didn't know how to pay our employees. We didn't know how to hire employees. We didn't know what taxes we were liable for. We didn't know what responsibilities we had as a business or as directors, as individual directors. We had no idea. We didn't know what insurance we needed. I remember Googling, what insurance does a business need to start? I know, we should have come to you, I'm sorry. So, ironically, between us, we had 20 years between the two of us of experience in advertising and marketing. We'd been lucky enough to work on some of Australia's largest brands in retail, and we thought that this was the perfect springboard for success. So I guess we went in a bit naively and struggled very quickly with some of the operational fundamentals. It's taken us 12 months, lots of research, and lots of mistakes to educate ourselves about these critical business practices. It's so important to get these foundations set up well from the beginning, or you're often chasing your tail and ironically never quite understanding if you're actually a profitable business or not, because you just don't understand the numbers well enough. And we feel that this education gap could be bridged and a lot more skilled help could be offered within the first year of any small business startup, and I think that's absolutely relevant to any startup, not just ours. The second challenge that we faced was, for us, all around logistics. Now, this is particularly a problem for retail, but when we launched, we found that the logistics services we needed to support our core business proposition, which was same-day delivery, these services just weren't there. We thought, rather ignorantly at the time, when we launched our same-day delivery service, that the same-day part wouldn't be hard. Massive mistake. Hardest thing about our business, when we launched, it didn't even cross our minds that we'd need to become experts in logistics. We just figured that there'd be a courier company out there who'd figure it out for us. We just thought we'd partner with somebody, not our problem. Turns out we were wrong. I remember having some really, really disheartening conversations early on with courier after courier, most of whom couldn't guarantee same-day delivery. It wasn't even a thing that they were willing to discuss. Those that did offer it were either far too expensive for a startup because you needed to promise a certain level of volume, which, let's face it, as a startup, how the hell do you know? I don't know. Could sell 1, 5, none? I don't know. We're just giving it a go. So we just didn't know. So we couldn't promise them anything in terms of volume. And many just wouldn't transport flowers. So one of our products are fresh flowers, and they just weren't interested because they might break and they didn't want to have to deal with that. And it was so frustrating that these large Australian businesses who on paper had the infrastructure, they had the network, they had the experience to help and support us, they just weren't prepared to innovate themselves and provide the services that actually not just we're demanding as a startup, but that Australian citizens are demanding as people. And when you look at the UK and the US, and you kind of alluded to it before, these services exist. It's pretty standard in the UK or US to be able to access these services, and it kind of makes me laugh more recently when I've been reading a lot in the press about drone delivery in Australia, and Amazon are actually already experimenting with delivery by drones over in the US. And certainly when we're working in advertising, we have clients asking us, so what about drone delivery? Should we do it? It's like, you can't deliver same day in a car. No, probably not. It's maybe something to aim for in the future. And in the end, the reality is we had to create our own logistics solution. We hired our own drivers, we worked out our own delivery system, we worked out our own payment model just to be able to keep our business running. But this was such a costly distraction from all of the other things that we needed to be doing, like selling more products and improving our production process. And the last thing that I thought I'd touch on, and this is more of a challenge for us now, more so than it was over the last 12 months, but that's scaling the business. Now, obviously, scaling is a challenge for any startup, and funding is definitely a big part of this. We absolutely need money to grow, to build the business, to create a bigger team. The reality for most startups is they're having to make trade-offs every single day because of a lack of funds. We've bootstrapped our company ourselves for the last year. We've invested our own cash. We haven't paid ourselves a salary, and we're having to make decisions about whether we use the money we do have to pay for advertising or to build a bigger team. Now, of course, that's a nonsense debate to some degree, because what's the point in paying for advertising when you haven't got a big enough team in the first place to keep up with the increased demand? On the flip side, why on earth would we invest in building a bigger team when sales aren't growing because we're not investing in advertising? Again, that's not unique to us. And at the same time, we're sacrificing paying ourselves a wage so we can pay our staff a wage. We're creating jobs, we're supporting a team of 5, but who's supporting us? And in fact, it's our partners, basically. If we were single right now, we wouldn't be here tonight, because we wouldn't actually have been able to start a business ourselves. So I guess like most startups, we just don't have the cash flow and capital to do everything we need to do. So yes, we need investment, and that's hard. Knowing where to go, knowing where to start, understanding how to pitch yourself, knowing how much of your company to give up for investment, we don't know. So way before you get to the investment itself and even talking about cash, what you really need is the advice and support to help establish when's the right time to even have that conversation. Where do you go? What do you say? How do you go about it? We all know that only a very small proportion of startups succeed, but I really worry that what we'll actually start to see is more and more startups failing, not thriving, because it's now so easy to start a business. Now, I'm not saying for a second that the government or anybody should increase barriers to starting a business. That's absolutely not the case. But what we do need to do is provide the education, support and advice to create an environment in which startups have the best chance of succeeding over the long term, not just launching. This could be done through establishing easier ways to access education and mentors, people who've done this before, other entrepreneurs, people who've set up businesses, succeeded and failed, people who have specific skill sets that are relevant to running a startup, people who understand the operations, the accounting, the legal side of it. You can't necessarily solve our logistics problem for us, understood. But helping foster a more sophisticated ecosystem of service providers that are actually incentivized to innovate, to keep pace with their counterparts overseas, and who are geared towards helping startups to some degree would certainly be beneficial. It would be a good start. We do know there's information out there, we know there's grants, we know there's assistance somewhere. But it just needs to be easier to find, and it needs to be quicker to access for time-poor entrepreneurs who are literally figuring everything out from scratch every single day.
Thank you. Thank you. That was fantastic.